Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Marvelous Chats. My name is Finto.
And I'm Kyle Crunk, and we are talking Titans. This week we have episode 8 titled Home. Finto, what'd you think?
This episode was definitely an improvement on the last week and definitely the week before. Um, there's some things I kind of enjoyed, some things I really didn't enjoy, but I suppose it's kind of slowly moving into a better direction. Um, I liked, well, I suppose I was kind of left a little like gobsmacked at the start of the episode when Tim Drake shows up to the manor and he's just outing everybody straight away. I'm like, oh my god, here's somebody else who knows everybody's identity. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Not only
Um,
that, he even says, "I want to be the next Robin. You
yeah,
need to fill me in because I've been dying to ask you this. How is that? Is this completely off base from comics or something? Because I can't imagine anyone just being like showing up. Obviously, I believe in the comics it would have been Batman picking Tim Drake, but
yeah,
I can never imagine someone being like, "I want to be Robin."
yeah. No, like it's definitely not happening that way. I don't. I'll put my hands up and say I don't really know a terrible amount on the origin story of Tim. But
The timeline doesn't even seem to make sense. He seems like a little bit younger than Dick, and he was like, "I was there when you did this show and you signed it for me."
yeah,
How? What were you
he
like, 3 or 4?
he must have been
And you
a he
memorized
must
all of his moves? Like this doesn't the
yeah.
timeline.
I kind of like so right for me. I thought the episode like I I didn't like that Tim just knew everything, but I kind of liked how he was able to kind of come to those conclusions himself, if that makes sense. So it was
Yeah,
kind of poorly executed, but I kind of liked the premise of it.
I like what
If
they were trying to do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just don't think that they pulled it off correctly. Like
Like he's
um,
calling out like the names of these moves. He did a
yeah,
one hooked bar grab, and
yeah,
you actually did it there. And Dick tries like a really bad defense. Yeah, someone stole my moves. He's like, actually, only 2 people in the world ever knew how to do this. One
yeah.
of
It's
them
like
was your dad, who's dead, and the other one's you. So
yeah, and again,
you know,
how do you prove that? Like, but like again, I think it's kind of cool. It shows that he is a bit of a detective, so like he would make a good sidekick. Like I think they're building him up to
yeah,
take the role. It's just obviously told in a very different way, and I think I've after this episode, I feel like I'm just gonna stop like expecting it to be any way like anything I've ever read before. I think this is just
yeah.
some really kind of like messed up universe where it's kind of no holds barred. They're not really following the origin stories in the comic books. Like they're kind of just making up their own stuff as they go along, and that's fine. But I suppose when we're watching as comic book fans and as like fans of like the old like animated series and all these characters that we've grown up with, you kind of expect to see things happen in a certain way. And I just think that
Yeah.
we just need to kind of distance ourselves from anything that we've seen before and just kind of go
Well, it's
in
kind of weird.
fresh eyed. Like
They've done it so well before now. So
yeah,
it's weird to see them take this hard turn.
yeah. I don't know, like it's
It,
just they have ideas obviously, and I think it's down to real world dynamics. I think is the main problem. You can't have a Joker, you can't have a Batman not properly, on TV. There's never really like apart from like Adam West being on TV like in the 60s, there's never really been a Batman on TV in live action before. He's always kind of been saved for the movies. And I think what's happening here and what's hurting here, because like even Gotham, a show that followed a young Bruce Wayne, like the last episode of Gotham, you see him actually like put the cape on and then he takes off, but you only see his back. Like, it was never a show about Batman. This as
Once they
well
started
isn't a
that movie, like you said, they're saving them from the movies. I definitely get that.
Exactly, yeah. And I think this is the same thing. Like this isn't a show about Batman, and I think to be honest, the show would have been better if they never brought Batman into it. As much as I like the actor who plays Batman, I don't really like his portrayal of Bruce Wayne and Batman. I think he's very old and frail looking. He's very skinny. Like I'm like this guy isn't a fucking superhero.
He's not
If
believable.
no, if you've read any comic books, like even like the older comic books of like Bruce in this time frame, he's like
He's this
way
big,
more. Yeah,
stocky
exactly.
dude. Yeah,
He's
dude.
a jacked
Looks like he's a
animal.
bouncer or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I don't know, I just don't really feel it. I think they've just kind of got someone in who we kind of love from Game of Thrones and stuff like that, and it's like he's a cool guy, but I just don't really
He's
see
more of like a
him.
James Bond than
Kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
than
like
a
again,
Batman.
it's like I don't really see the point of having him as a having him as Bruce Wayne, especially if you're only going to bring him in for like. I'd say he's probably had a collective of about 30 minutes of screen time throughout the entire series, and I just think you need for it to hit even better. You never see him like for the whole first season we never saw Bruce Wayne, and I think that was first season was probably the best season, right? Or well, maybe like halfway through season 2 was amazing when they first introduced Connor, when they first brought in Deathstroke and stuff. I was like, shit, these characters are amazing. They're being done
Yeah.
correctly. But then they kind of just bring in Bruce and stuff like that, and you kind of lose the magic because it was kind of like, oh my god, won't we see Batman, and who is he and what's he look like and stuff. And they could have just had like a jacked up dude in the suit and just kind of had like flashbacks, and you don't really have any actual kind of real interaction with him. And I think the show would have been a little more mysterious, and I think it would have been better. It's just, I think the magic is gone now because there's like an old frail Bruce Wayne that like I don't believe is Bruce Wayne, like so for me,
Well,
that kind of bringing him into it has kind of ruined it for me now, because it's just like, I know the stories can't be told correctly, so it's just like, I don't know, we have to kind of leave it for second, we have to kind of just accept second best,
yeah, and like you said a second ago, the way they introduce characters like Deathstroke and Superboy were super great. The way they've done that in the past, kind of going back to this episode, this they're doing the opposite now. Blackfire was introduced kind of poorly this season. Her reintroduced this season kind of poorly, I believe. You called it very early on, and it came to fruition this episode. A little romance between her and Superboy.
Extremely.
They're full on. Yeah, they're full on getting it on in the bed now. And we have Starfire having these weird visions still.
Yeah.
Still not really understanding where
what was
these
that
are
purple,
from.
the purple haze under the bed? No, I didn't know what that was.
I'm not sure. The big takeaway I had is I think she's maybe seeing like her own origin story or something. Some hints to
maybe
her as a baby, because it was the mother up on the balcony saying "my child." We saw in the carriage she pulls back the veil, and it's a little baby that has green eyes. Obviously, it appears to be her as a baby, so I don't really know what they're going for, or what they're going to get at here. Like you said in the beginning of this episode, this is an uptick from last episode, but for me, it's not much of an uptick. Really strange. We got another example of the craziest plot armor I've seen. Dick gets hit by a truck with no motorcycle protection gear on besides a helmet. Gets hit by T-boned by a truck.
Yeah.
And is awake like 8 hours later. No broken bones, no lacerations
just
or
blood. A concussion.
Just chilling, bro. Maybe. Oh, he is seeing weird vision. The vision thing is turning into a bat now.
I think he's definitely like highly concussed. But
bro, the plot armor in this season on Dick Grayson especially is just cringe, bro. You can't have someone get T-boned on a motorcycle by a truck, let alone if it was even like a smart car, bro. There's still problems in that, where I'm going to be like, all right, there should be some like broken legs or whatever. You have steel hitting you, T-bone. This is a truck that T-bones him at what they make look 35, 40 miles per hour. You should be dead.
He gets flown across the road, smashes into a car, even if he knows
retains consciousness.
The helmet comes off, and it breaks as well.
Oh yeah. He smashes into another car.
Yeah.
Helmet comes off, lands on the ground, retains consciousness throughout all to see Jason walk up on him.
Yeah.
And not kill him. So like you said, it's an uptick from last episode, but that's not hard to do because last episode was, I think, the worst episode of the series for me. This episode is maybe like the third worst. So for me, 5 out of 10.
Yeah. I would have to say probably again, I'd probably go 6 on this one as well. And I just kind of, there was a couple of little bits in it that I liked. I liked the scene with Crane killing his mother. I kind of just thought like that was kind of interesting for the character. It's like he's obviously had, like, she was a very cruel woman who's kind of just like discarded him. And I think that kind of, maybe not to justify any of his actions, obviously, but I think you can kind of see why he is who he is and the way he is, and why he kind of got into his profession. I think he wanted to kind of, one up on his mother and become a better psychologist or something.
How strange is that scene? He finds this random guy doing an inspection, finds a knocked out guy, and he's like, hey, you want this yogurt I got in my pocket, bro? Yeah,
that was like, I kind of felt sorry for that guy as well. And I kind of like was taken back for a minute because I didn't really remember what happened in the scene before. Like, what did Jason knock him out?
I think Jason was beating him up, and then he's like, are you finished yet? And then he actually knocked him out, and he said, no, now I'm finished.
Yeah. So I think I missed the knockout blow. And then when that scene started, I was kind of like, why is he lying on the ground? Is he actually sleeping there? Like, is he insane? I'm like, what the hell is going on? So like, I was like, oh, I mean, obviously,
There's a
um,
yogurt pre-stirred.
yeah, yeah, I don't know, that was kind of crazy. Um, yeah, the Tim Drake stuff, Tim getting shot as well. I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, is he not going to become Robin? Like, what's happening here now? Um, I don't know. Like again, like Connor could have
I
just
feel like now this
zipped
is.
up to the hospital in 2 seconds and then went back for the fight.
Oh yeah, but they're
Um,
calling an ambulance.
yeah, so
I feel like this is their way to get him forced into the manor. If he gets into the manor in any sense, he's obviously going to snoop around. If he snoops around and he finds anything, it's going to be like any other Robin to Batman story. Once the Robin finds the Batcave, that's the moment. You know, the
yeah,
Robin pretty
for
much on
sure.
now. So I feel like this is just a really they've really forced him in. Like we talked about last episode, he just shows up and says, "Hey, I want to be Robin,"
Yeah,
and the or how he just feels very forced into this. So it feels like again next episode we're going to see him forced into the manor at some way. They're going to finish whatever they got going.
looks like a pretty
It's
serious injury he obtained, though. I was kind of thinking, oh my god, like, 'cause he got shot in the back, so I'm thinking, oh, is this like a spinal injury or something like that? I don't know what's going on. But
yeah,
then you see Connor says that it was a through and through, so I presume
yeah,
he'll be okay. But again, he's probably going to be injured for the rest of this season. But yeah, I think you're probably right. Like his family just got killed. I'd say he'll be taken into the manor, and I'd say again he'll just kind of naturally come into things and. I'd say
yeah.
I'd say my guess is Bruce will probably return. Who's this? Oh, he wants to be a Robin. Boom, and Bruce would be like, "Ding ding, excellent! I've got the new Robin." So I
Now
think
we said last episode, and I hope it's true this episode. We said that they have to do better going forward. They did a little bit better here going forward. Looking on the next episode, episode 9, that we're going to get into for next week is called Souls. I'm actually super excited. You can't have a title like Souls without
yeah,
something crazy going on or a good episode.
I
So
think we're going to see Raven next week. Would be my guess.
I'm hoping we're going to ramp up. Just really, I need a vertical incline from here on out, and I need it to not stop.
Yeah, it has to end strong.
Um,
I think if the show doesn't end
and yeah,
strong, this will be the last season.
and it has
I
to
don't see
end
it being.
strong with a good cliffhanger that we
Yeah,
care about.
yeah. Without that, I don't think it's getting renewed. To be honest. Because like as well, it's under the HBO banner as well, like, and that itself comes with a very like kind of high tier of television, and I think they're not going to keep shows on that aren't performing amazingly, so
I will say, was this the was this the first nudity we've had in the show?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was very
it
weird.
was a very awkward scene to watch. Like, it was kind of just bizarre,
Yeah,
and then
like pretend to be that, and you pretend, and
yeah, and then it just like,
yeah, it
okay,
was
your time's up, honey, bye. I was just like, oh, what the hell's going on?
like, do they want us to believe that these kinds of places exist? I remember seeing like as a younger child or teenager in like the early 2000s, late 90s, they would have these kind of rooms depicted in. I don't think these are realistic rooms that exist anymore, and it's so awkward to see them forced into a
Yeah.
show like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Um,
very strange. Like, they have like really weird like kind of shit like that in like Amsterdam and stuff like that. But maybe that's what they're trying to depict. This Gotham is
yeah,
just this place that's just no holds barred, no
going
laws, and
downhill
it's just the cesspool
makes sense.
of thing. And it does. It probably if Gotham was a real place, I actually would probably say that places like this probably exist in it. So yeah,
I will
I don't
say
know.
I like Gar. I like Gar again doing a little bit more. We see Gar this episode doing some investigation. I know we're gonna wrap up here in the next moment or so about this episode, but I can't leave without saying I love. They really seem the saving grace for me this whole season has been Gar's development. He
Yeah,
really did some. He had a great scene showing that like, hey, I give a shit about Jason. I want to try to salvage something here. We all need a second chance, and he really gets everybody kind of on board with, hey, let's not just try to murder Jason right now.
yeah.
Let's try to figure something out. Gar's really been holding this season for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I had to
absolutely.
mention
I
that.
think he is probably the strongest part of the season for sure. And I'm kind of upset because I really went into the season thinking that maybe Superboy would take over, but he's been very much backseat. So I don't know. Maybe they just can't afford all of the CGI shit that they would have to do with him to give him more screen time or something. I don't really know, but
They can
I'm
afford
kind of
him naked butt cheek CGI running out of the room when he gets caught having sex.
that's easy. That's easy to do. I mean, like, flying
Oh,
and like crushing through shit
yeah,
and all that
true.
sort of thing. So I don't know. Again, we'll see what happens, guys. If you like the video, please drop us a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Is this show doing it for you or not? And we'll be back next week for episode 9. Bye, guys.
Have a good one. See ya.
Bye.